Okay, so I was reading Jordan Peterson's book, 12 Rules for Life, and I was reading about Nietzsche and Dostoevsky, and we all know the famous quote from Nietzsche about the death of God. And Nietzsche has some interesting thoughts in there about the role of the Catholic Church, who he was probably one of the best or worst critics, depending on what side of the aisle you sit. And one of the things that I found interesting about Nietzsche's thought was that he makes the proposition that the church and its dogmas, so the church and its rigid structure of morality, that the sins that we commit, being super cognizant and aware of our sin, was the restraint that we needed to give us science, to build the freedom of scientific thought. So Nietzsche's idea is that the Catholic Church, because it was so influential and dominant across the western part of the world, and its emphasis on dogmas, that certain things were true in a sense that you could not prove them wrong, or you couldn't talk about them. They're dogmas. That the dogmas put a restraint on our behavior, but that the church's emphasis on truth. So they had the dogmas, but then they had this other side that was for truth, that we must follow the truth. The truth is the highest value that we must strive for. That the dogmas and the truth combined together created the free, scientific, democratic world that we live in today. But Nietzsche said that ultimately science and truth, from a scientific point of view, will win, and that is what the death of God is, in a sense. It's the death of the dogmas. It's the death of the restraint. It's the death of the Catholic influence or the Christian morality on the world. But then what does that do? What happens when the morality is gone? What happens when the dogmas are gone? Well, Nietzsche said that we would have to invent our own. And that's where the idea, where Nietzsche talks about the Superman, that we have to invent our own dogmas, we have to invent our own restraints. But then the question is how good are we at that? Can we do that? And there was an interesting line from his book that I wanted to read about this notion. This is from Jordan Peterson's book. He says, quote, "We rebel against our own totalitarianism as much as that of others. I cannot merely order myself to action, and neither can you. Quote, I'll stop procrastinating, I say, but I don't. I will eat properly, I say, but I don't. I will end my drunken misbehavior, I say, but I don't. I cannot merely make myself over in the image constructed by my intellect, particularly if that intellect is possessed by an ideology. I have a nature, and so do you, and so do we all. We must discover that nature and contend with it before making peace with ourselves. What is it that we most truly are? What is it that we could most truly become, knowing who we most truly are? We must get to the very bottom of these things." And so, if you take Nietzsche's ideas, which I think they're true, they're right, that when science became when science replaced the church, in a sense, when it replaced the dogmas, when it replaced the rigid morality. Science came in and replaced that, but science doesn't offer an alternative as far as morality goes, and as far as a structure to which to order us. And so these are interesting questions to ponder, and so I'd like to see what some of your thoughts are. Was Nietzsche right? And if he was right, what should we do? What should we do as individuals, and what should we do as a society? I'd love to hear your comments. Comment below, like, subscribe. Thanks.